This video will show the assembly process for your Champion full beam log splitter. Allow an hour or more for assembly. Make sure you follow along in your operator's manual and always have someone to help you. If you have any questions regarding the assembly of your log splitter, call the Champion helpline. This assembly process applies to Champion 27 and 37 ton full beam log splitters. Set the shipping crate on a solid flat surface and cut the shipping bands to disassemble the crate. Before beginning assembly, locate all parts, including beam with wedge, hydraulic cylinder and high pressure hoses, hydraulic tank, hydraulic oil, engine and pump, wheels, fenders, large and small log catchers, tow bar with support leg, clear oil hose, and hardware kit. Step 1. Install the tow bar. You will need an 18 and a 19mm wrench. Attach the tow bar to the bracket on top of the hydraulic tank using the bolts, washers, and nuts that are located on the bracket. Step 2. Install the fenders. You will need a 16 and 17mm wrench. Attach the first fender to the side of the hydraulic oil tank using the appropriate bolts, nuts, and washers. The safety reflectors should be facing the back of the hydraulic tank. Repeat these steps on the second fender. Step 3. Install the wheels. You will need a soft mallet, needle nose pliers, and a 30mm or adjustable wrench. Install the wheels by removing the cotter pin and castle nut from the axle. Remove the plastic shipping caps and slide the wheel onto the axle, and be sure that the tire valve stem is facing out. Thread the castle nut onto the axle and tighten by hand. Then use the wrench to tighten another quarter turn. Spin the wheel to distribute the bearing grease. Loosen the castle nut and retighten by hand. Make sure not to over-tighten. Install the cotter pin through the axle and castle nut and bend with pliers. The wheel should spin freely but should not move from side to side. Lastly, install the axle cap using a soft mallet and repeat these steps on the other wheel. Step 4. Install the beam. With the support leg vertical, remove the pin on the pivot bracket. Stand the beam vertical on the footplate, then roll the tank into position so the pivot holes on the tank and beam are aligned. Secure the beam using the pin and R-pin, and carefully pivot the beam to the horizontal position, making sure it locks into place on the tow bar. Step 5. Install the engine. If your log splitter is less than 30 tons, you will need two 13mm wrenches to install the engine. If your log splitter is greater than 30 tons, you will need a 16 and a 17mm wrench. Mount the engine to the mounting plate on the hydraulic oil tank facing outward, and secure using the appropriate hardware according to your unit as specified in your operator's manual. Step 6. Connect the hydraulic filter and hoses. You will need a pair of pliers and a 27mm or adjustable wrench. Make sure the fitting is covered in thread seal tape before threading it into the hydraulic tank. Rotate the filter until tight, and make sure the filter is oriented downward. Your hydraulic filter may already be installed depending on the size of your unit. Next, locate the oil inlet hose. Place the provided O-ring into the pump outlet fitting, and attach and tighten the loose end of the hose to the fitting. Then locate the oil return hose. Thread the loose end of the hose onto the tapered fitting of the hydraulic filter and tighten. Then, using the provided hose clamps, remove the red shipping plug and connect one end of the clear oil hose to the hydraulic tank and the other end to the pump inlet on the side of the pump. Step 7. Install the log catchers. You will need a 16 and 17mm wrench and a 6mm Allen wrench. Attach the large log catcher to the engine side of the beam using the 16mm wrench and the appropriate bolts and washers, and attach the small log catcher on the opposite side with the appropriate bolts, nuts, and washers using the 17mm wrench and 6mm Allen wrench. Lastly, use the pin and R-clip to set the handle into place. With the log splitter outdoors, add engine oil. Follow the steps in your operator's manual to add the correct amount and appropriate type of engine oil to the engine. Add gasoline. Follow the steps in your operator's manual to add the appropriate amount of fresh, regular, unleaded gasoline to the engine. Add hydraulic oil. Remove the oil plug from the hydraulic oil tank and add the provided hydraulic oil. Check the oil level using the sight glass on the side of the oil tank. Replace and tighten the oil plug and be sure to orient the vent hole away from the operator zone. With the log splitter outdoors and at least 7 feet from any combustible material, start the engine according to your operator's manual. Extend and retract the wedge to purge air from the hydraulic system. Repeat this until the wedge motion is smooth. Turn off the engine and add hydraulic oil to the tank to bring the oil level back up to the sight glass, and do not overfill. Your log splitter assembly is complete. Regularly inspect your log splitter and hydraulic system according to your operator's manual, and read all safety guidelines before operating your log splitter.